Hi everyone. In today's video I'm going to discuss how an Alzheimer's diagnosis saved my marriage. Here's what I mean by that. My wife Theresa was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease at age 49. There was no history in her family, so this was not something that we were expecting. I started noticing changes in her behavior about 5 or 6 years prior to her diagnosis, and these changes began to take a toll on our marriage. She had a seemingly aloofness about her finances, keeping commitments, and sharing of household responsibilities. She would start projects and not finish them, and she wasn't keeping her promises. I remember saying to her, "Something is just not clicking upstairs." I will never forget that conversation. Something wasn't clicking, I just didn't know what it was. Unknowingly, I chalked up these changes to stress and depression. Theresa was a brilliant corporate accountant, but as her condition progressed, she struggled with the complexity of her job and began working very late hours to keep up. She was eventually demoted and then later lost her job. I remember her calling me every night as she walked out to her car because she always had the last car in the parking lot and she was worried about her safety. She had tremendous work ethic, but just could not keep up with the demands of the job. After her job loss, it seemed like she would never get back on her feet, and this added even more stress to our marriage. For the next few years, Theresa would go on to struggle with part-time work, and in 2018, she began to show signs that something might be wrong beyond stress or depression. She was now having more trouble with her memory and forgetting how to do familiar tasks. She was having trouble operating her cell phone, sending text messages, and finding photos. She was also having trouble following directions that had multiple steps and following recipes for cooking. She also got lost driving a few times to familiar places. I accompanied her to an appointment with her primary care doctor, and I explained all the changes that the family and I had been seeing. Her doctor pulled out a piece of paper and asked Theresa to draw a clock and make the clock say 2 o'clock. Theresa took that piece of paper, drew a circle, and only placed the numbers 1 through 6 around the clock, but in the wrong spots, and she did not know what to do with the longhand. She could not tell time. It was in this surreal moment that I realized my wife had some sort of dementia and was not just stressed or depressed from losing her job. I also learned that she could not count backwards by 5 and had forgotten her multiplication tables. We were referred to a neurologist, and after a PET scan, MRI, spinal tap, and neuropsychological testing, Theresa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. We were devastated, and for the next few months, we shed a lot of tears. I was so sad and disappointed with myself for the years that I had been so frustrated with her and not knowing that she was afflicted with this disease. The diagnosis changed everything because my expectations of her as my spouse changed. All my prior frustrations and disappointments disappeared in an instant. No longer would I hold her to the same level of accountability that I had in the past or expect her to hold the same responsibilities. The diagnosis gave me a reason for all the changes I was seeing and saved my marriage. Our love for each other is now stronger than ever, and I'm so grateful that I'm still by her side and on this journey with her. I share this with you today with the hope that if your loved one is experiencing something similar, that it encourages you to take them to the doctor and get them screened for dementia. Early detection is critical for your loved one to get the care that they need. It could also help save a marriage, keep families from becoming estranged, and equip future caregivers with the knowledge and understanding that they will need to provide care for their loved one. Thank you for tuning in today. Please subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for our next video. Take care, everyone.